forward, because our limitations are not from the military domain. Our limitations really are from the political domain. So the political domain owns you, you have a good thing going. That's...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think if there are no other questions, I would like, please.
Thank you, Chair. Haqqani Hussain, who is Pakistani ambassador to Washington. Haqqani Hussain, who is Pakistani ambassador to USA, has written a book, I think more than 2 years back, Mosque and Military. He has clearly given the nexus between army and the jihadist groups. 3 weeks back, there was one news item or assessment given by the Brookings Institute of USA. If jihadis take all the nuclear assets, either with the connivance of army or otherwise by force, and get dispersed and be in hiding somewhere, what would be our response when we won't be knowing their location, either through satellites and we don't have ground human intelligence? Thank you.
Is it on? Can you hear me? Gentlemen, I think there is a possibility of what you have said. And the US Army is very concerned about it. We've been hearing of this for a long, long time. This may happen, this may happen, this may happen, and it may happen soon than they expect it to do. Even Bill Clinton, when he was addressing the United Nations on a meeting on counterterrorism, he said this is not a remote possibility, but there is a possibility of this happening. And I think the United States Army is very much on the spot on this. They've got their things, what there ought to be, and I think they will take action faster than any other army on that issue. No, you never know who will be targeted. But, well, our response is you'll have to ask some politicians. Because we can only plan, as Hardy just said, we can plan. We can, you give us political clearance. No, but you see, implication of this is it's an international issue, international war at a different country, and the army is not going to take a decision on its own. This will have to be a political decision. When it is given, then I said, yeah, you have to plan. It's going to take months and months of rehearsals and planning to do a job like that. But this, it should be thought of even now. But most of the army should think of it, and then whoever has to do the job can do it only if you start planning now. Thank you.
Nobody is going to do our job.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. Indian Army has to will be planning for it, but the clearance for this will have to be given by the highest political authority.
Sir, may I have a comment, sir? With the permission of the chair, I have got a comment to make. Do I have the permission of the chair, sir? Thank you, sir. Firstly, let me introduce myself. I am part of the present dispensation, which one of the speakers alluded to or sarcastically referred to with complete lack of grace. So instead of getting into one-to-one with the speaker, I wish to rest assured with the House, particularly the young officers who have been called here for this seminar, because of the present dispensations, letters going out for them to be present. बस इतना बुरा हाल नहीं है Please, whatever is being done in good faith, and you guys will not be let down. Let me assure you that. And also let me assure the young officers present here that whatever is being done, your COs are in picture. They are in full picture of each and everything that is being done by the present dispensation. And I must add here, I require your support and not approval of some retired general. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I think I will just add on a little bit to what has been said just now, as well as what Mr. Sharma has been talking about. In fact, you're strengthening the point for what General Litter had just spoken about, and also General Katoch had touched upon it. We need to look at some kind of a structure which is going to be addressing these kind of issues. And that structure, what the command and control of that structure is going to be, is what needs to be deliberated and arrived at. The moment we have that kind of a structure in place, automatically the fear or the apprehension which you have would automatically get diluted, if not dissolved. That is one, and I definitely would like to compliment what has been said just now. There are going to be some kind of responses in the pockets, in the hands of the governance, as well as with the military. So I think we can go rest assured from here that if a situation of this nature arises, it is not as if that we are going to be waiting for somebody who is probably non-existent to give you the word of command to go or to not to go. But when a package of that nature is in place, the response would be fairly automatic, if not immediate. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do I presume that there are no more questions? Okay, I would like to say a few things. First of all, I think I would like to really thank the audience for being so attentive and with coming out with the kind of questions that you have really come out with. And also all the panelists for enriching us with their experiences and with their perceptions of what the special forces in the country and in the neighborhood are and what they ought to be. I would like to add on a couple of things, maybe at the cost of repetition. First of all, I think in our country, that is in India, I think special forces operations have been going on for ages. But yes, they have been under different classifications. We have not been calling them special operations, but we have been conducting them for ages, and they have been fairly successful. While talking about some of the perceptions from the Western concept, which are more interventionist in nature, ours are, I think, a little more tactical in nature as of now. What we need to do has already been very clearly brought out, and I think that some kind of a study would definitely go into this. We need to be, of course, more proactive. We heard the morning session where I think almost all the speakers had brought out that in their respective countries, they have a command, a special forces command as an organization, which I think the case has been made out as far as we are concerned in the Indian as well as because of the neighboring environment, that even we should have a command for the special forces, which would need some deliberation. We'll have to take a call on that. In the Indian context, I would like to add on a couple of things. Our special forces are good. At the outset, I think our special forces have been doing a tremendous job in whichever capacity. But the degree of success, what has been set out to be achieved, has always been achieved. I am not aware of any case where that kind of a degree of success has not been achieved. Whether we need to expand our canvas is something which we have all, I would say, responded positively to, and we need to take a call on that. I will give an example. The only thing is that at times we underestimate ourselves, but I'll give you an example. Very recently, I will not take names, we had conducted a massive exercise, and wherein it was decided that we will use the special forces in a manner, something like the airborne assault. There was a lot of deliberation before the exercise, and it was more or less unanimously brought out that this kind of an operation may not really succeed. But with a little extra planning and effort and more deliberations, it was put into an exercise, into execution mode. And I'm very proud to say that it was a very, very successful operation. It is something that we had been seeing in the movies in our childhood, wherein just a handful lot will enter a restricted area and take over complete control over that area in spite of the station commander or the air officer commanding of that station being fully aware that between this time and this time, you are going to be invaded by special forces, exercise caution. And yet, it was a total success. So I think my compliments to the special forces. I think it was the Garuds and some of the special forces of the army, which had combined in a joint operation into making this kind of an operation a success. Special forces against terrorism within the country is what we generally matter, is real-time intelligence. It has been very aptly brought out in the morning session, the use of various electronic devices as well as both on the ground as in the air. We need to have that kind of resources in place to provide the real-time intelligence to make that particular operation a success. We require the proper equipping of the special forces with the correct amount of technology. We talked about the Chinese capability by Isar as well as one or two other panelists have spoken about it. I think this is something which we really need to take stock of. The Chinese capability is definitely, which was earlier commenced with an aim of taking on Taiwan, has now more or less shifted, and it is of a great significance to us. The special forces would require the desired mobility. They would definitely require the joint training. Why I emphasize upon the joint training, not because I am in the IDS, but I think because it is the need of the hour. The number of people in the special forces has already been brought out is fairly meager. And in order to combine the resources of each other's services, or from the field away from the services, we would definitely require some kind of a degree of commonality, which can only come in through joint training. The command and control structure would need to be defined. The recommendations have already been made, and I think they're fairly well endorsed by the audience as well as by the entire panel, and something would definitely move forward, I presume so, in that step. But what is more important is that even if the command and control is in place, it is a synergy of all the resources which are available, without which, once again, we may not be that much of a successful nation as far as command and control of these kind of forces is concerned. There is another issue which would have to be borne in mind, that even if we were to have a separate command, whether we are going to have all the resources in that command would again need a deliberation, in the absence of which we would definitely need to have full support of use of resources from the other three services. The reason is very straightforward. For injecting these and for extracting these forces, we would require some medium or some kind of a media which may not belong to that particular command. And hence, as a developing nation, in the absence of having all those resources in that command, if it were to be a reality, we would definitely require the support of the services. Political will to use the special forces with the knowledge which will have to be provided to the politicians, as well as it will have to be emphasized upon that what kind of a degree of success is likely to be achieved. And hence, once that kind of an interaction exists with the remaining other things which have already been put in place, I don't think so that it is going to be such a sad story. Obviously, when this kind of an advice is being given, we will have to keep in mind what is our own capability. We have to be absolutely truthful and forthright in coming out what is the capability, what can be done, what cannot be done, and that needs to be very clearly laid down on the table, and let thereafter a decision be taken based on the capability which we possess, not on what we wish to possess. We did mention about talking about the nature of war, which is going to be in the 21st century. In fact, a very few days back, we had a seminar on this particular subject. And what was basically surmised was that the war in the 21st century is, at this point in time, very unpredictable. And if the war is going to be very unpredictable, then the very primacy of the special forces becomes even more significant. I think I would like all of you to take home this thought with you. And before we meet up as to what we need to improve this and how do we modernize, which is going to come about in tomorrow's session. And I think that we will have a look at subsequently in the morning. I once again take this opportunity to thank the panelists for an excellent presentations given, and the audience, I think, who have been so very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Air Marshal L.K. Malhotra. Thank you, sir, for chairing the session. And apologies for the bell that was somewhere wrongly placed. And thank you to all the speakers. I would now request Major General K.B. Kapoor, Director CENJOWS, to kindly present the mementos to the chairperson and to the speakers. We first express our thanks to the chairperson, Air Marshal L.K. Malhotra. Our thanks to Major General Retired O.B. Sabharwal.